Welcome to another episode of First Light, the podcast where we explore the journeys of individuals who have turned challenges into opportunities and made a positive impact on their communities and industries. Today, we have the honor of speaking with Justin Miller, a dedicated public adjuster based in Florida. Justin's path to success is as inspiring as it is unique, shaped by his experience in the military and a deep commitment to serving others. In this episode, we'll dive into his journey, how he transitioned from military service to public adjusting, the values that drive his work, and his unwavering commitment to making a difference in the lives of those he serves. Whether you're looking for inspiration, practical advice, or a story of resilience, today's conversation promises to deliver. Let's welcome Justin Miller to the show. Justin, I want to welcome you to First Light, and thank you so much for your time. For those who may not know you, could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely, and I appreciate the opportunity to come on First Light and have the ability to introduce myself. I don't get that many opportunities to share my story for others other than the people that are in my immediate circle and my immediate reach. So my name is Justin Miller. I'm 35, Jupiter native, and earlier on in my life, I went into the military. Did 8 years with the military with the Marine Corps, and then I went into fire rescue, did 10 years with fire rescue, exited out as a lieutenant, and then got into the world of business, and still going every single day. And it's probably one of the most challenging times, as I'm sure you know, growing out your business as well. And it's definitely the most rewarding of my entire life. And I'm 35, and I feel like I've lived 3 lives already.
Well, let's go back to the early life. Let's go back to your military experience and kind of take us through your service and of the country. And thank you for your service. But tell us a little bit about that, how that prepared you for now this life and business.
Yeah, so interesting question. Fully loaded question, by the way. Where do I start? I can pretty much start when I was a kid, right? I was probably 21 years old, still living at my parents' house. I wasn't very academically successful in high school. Not that I wasn't smart enough. It was just a discipline. And I got into surfing, I got into sports, and everything but schoolwork. So I wasn't very academically successful, so I knew college wasn't, in my pipeline as I was getting older and everyone was going to colleges and applying. My father was, in the fire department at the time, so very military, paramilitary, mindset. So growing up, I always had him guiding me, right? Like doing the right thing when no one's looking, learning those early lessons in life. And I found myself in a really bad, spot mentally, right? So I went to the fire academy, went to EMT academy, went to paramedic school, and I started working at Palm Beach Gardens Medical Center as a paramedic, making, minimum wage stuff. Still living at my parents' house, 225 pounds, fat, nasty, disgusting, bogged out. Well, probably one of the worst versions of myself. And luckily, on my 2-year anniversary, as I'm trying to get hired with the fire department, this is back in 2007, 2008, and we're going through this recession. No one's hiring. One position would open up for the fire department. 4,000 applicants would apply. And it was just very difficult to get hired back then. And as that time went, I knew I needed drastic change. And in order to do that, I needed to make a drastic move. I had 2 buddies, fortunately, Adam and Alex YQ, went off to have a very successful career in the Marine Corps as Raiders. They guided me into the Marine Corps, and they said, you need to join. And I went home. I resigned on my 2-year anniversary at the hospital, and I said, this is the move. And I never in my life had even a micro thought of I need to join the military. I need to do something bigger than just me. It was just a thing, and it came in the moment, and I executed, and I went into the Marine Corps, and it was probably one of the unknowingly best decisions I've ever made in my life. And as it groomed me, as the military first broke you down, right? Because when you get there, you're, fat, nasty, bogged down civilian, right? And you step on those yellow footprints and your life changes. And I was petrified. And 3 months later, after Parris Island and went to graduation, I was a different man. not only physically but mentally. Went in as 225 pounds, and I remember coming out 3 months later. My parents walked right by me; they didn't even recognize me, and I was 172 pound, just shredded, ready to rock and roll and take over anything that came out, towards my direction. And the ability to execute is my superpower now today. I like the mindset of sending rounds down range and talking rounds on target, right? So a lot of people wait for the best opportunity under the best conditions, and I've learned over time that if I was going to do that and analyze and be very analytical to every decision that I make, I'm going to let a lot of time pass by, and most likely someone's going to grab that opportunity before I could, right? So as soon as I get an idea, I call it the war room, go to the war room, I write it down, and I figure, I don't know this, I can learn this, but let me start sending rounds down range right now, and I'll figure it out on the way. And then eventually I'll get the round on target, and then I move on to the next thing. And that's how I've been able to build a very successful business life outside, right? And the transition was pretty significant, and utilizing people like you and utilizing mentors at a greater statute is always driving me to become better every single day.
Let's talk about that transformation though. When you first go into the military, overweight, out of shape, civilian, still to transform your body and your mind like that, it takes a lot of discipline. So talk about that early, that first day in. You said you kind of just changed quickly, but take us through that transformation, because that's really crazy and really important.
Yeah. So the transformation, I remember being in the military, especially Parris Island, which it's always immediate shock to anybody that's ever experienced it. And if you know, right? But I remember my father always telling me, he's like, apply for any job, like at the time. And he was talking about smaller fire departments in the state, but no, I wanted the big fire departments. I would never apply for the small fire departments. I remember being hazed, and they call it, the sandboxes, right? And they haze you in these sandboxes. And I just remember, I said, man, just why the hell didn't I just apply to that little tiny fire department? I could just be living a happy life right now, right? So when I got back, I was on a mission. The first day when I came back from Parris Island, I checked into my unit. Outside that, before that happened, you had to go to MOS school. You had to go to Marine combat training, courses, and get through. So a couple months went by, but by the time I got back to the state of Florida and checked into Anglico, I was on a mission. I was like blood in my eyes, and it was always about executing, and I became very objective orientated. And even today, I spend my nights going over my hit list, and I have it in my notes. It's simple, and it's give me 10 tasks tomorrow, even small tasks in the morning, and they lead to bigger tasks in the afternoon. And I have literally, when I evaluate a week's, 14 days or a month worth of productivity by just developing my hit list, I am more productive now than I've ever been in my entire life. One, I have my freedom back, I have my time back, and it's all about you. It's like your self-accountability and holding yourself accountable to your actions, and then making that hit list and being very objective orientated. And I think the military has really driven that into my brain housing group. And I just, there's no fail point. Like I remember just, doing our active deployments overseas, and giving us, mission sets, and it's like, dude, this is going to be a fucking doozy, right? And no matter what, if we built a strong team, I knew we could do anything and get back, right? And that really drove like team development, team building, the importance of having a strong team and having people at your table that you trust, right? Not only, and it's, it was life and death at the time, but now even today it's still life, right? And it's like either this table, I'm going to build a table of the wrong players and we're never going to get anywhere, or we're going to get into the wrong business deal or the wrong business opportunity. But now seeking opportunity where it's not visible is what I focus on, building a really strong team that's objective orientated, that's we're promoting self-growth. And there's no time where we're sitting at the table in today's world where we're not wanting to better the other person's life. And you're really able to excel exponentially in that fashion.
I know when you got back from the military and from your service, it wasn't always easy for you and didn't always have a clear path of what you were going to do. So let's talk about overcoming challenges and how you overcame some of those early challenges when you first came back from the Marine Corps and started trying to figure out which career path you were going to take.
Yeah. So Chris, thanks for these hard questions. I love challenges now. And I got to, when you really are proud of yourself and proud of your self-accomplishments, you become your biggest fan. I tend to enjoy fail points now. I can't wait until I fall, right? Because I know I'm going to get back and I'm just going to crush it, right? Because I'm using a source of failure, a source of self-doubt, like anger, like people are always around the corner, like I can't wait till he falls, F this guy, like you must be lucky, must be nice that he has this life, you can't wait until something bad happens. And people come out of the shadows when the blood's in the water, and when you get to experience that for the first time as a young man, and your back is against the wall, you get really dangerous, and I love the opportunity of failure, and I'm not scared of anything anymore. I don't care if a business deal goes down the drain, if I don't sign a client, if something happens, in my personal life that affects it. I can't wait, because it gives me the ability not only overcome the hardship or what's going on in my life, but I document a lot on social media, and I do this, and it's very exposing, right? It's really hard to get on social media, get in front of the camera, because you become an easy target. But if I have the ability to show 10 people out of the entire reach of that platform that you can also do this, then that's my mission in today's world, is trying to better someone else's life through my own hardships, through my own downfalls in life
that come my way. So I really can't wait now to, enjoy the journey rather than the wins. If you can focus on the journey and stop worrying about the daily wins, life becomes so much more fulfilling in every single aspect.
Absolutely. I could agree more with you. I do follow you on social media, so I know that you have some very healthy habits and routines. I see you at the gym and run into you at the gym. Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about how you stay healthy. How do you, what kind of routine you follow to keep yourself both mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually in a good place?
So that was a really crazy part of my, overcomings as well, to this whole transition that I've made. And it happened actually when back in September 2022, when Hurricane Ian hit. I was on my own. I was transitioning out of the fire department at the time. Didn't really know what my direction was at that. I was really in the fork of life, like at that moment. And I remember just sitting in my office 16 hours a day. I'm signing 15, 20 clients on my own. And this is before I was truly in the world of business. Like, I knew I was in the direction of success. I knew I had the right people directing me and guiding me into that, but I didn't have systems and processes. I didn't know what a CRM was back then. The growth from the September 2022 till now is completely, it's not even comparable to what we have today. And as you know, we work very closely together in comparing systems. I didn't have any of that back in 2022. So I remember I'm signing 15, 20 clients a day for months. I mean, it was the end of December, and I stopped going to the gym. I stopped eating healthy. My relationships with my family, my friends were deteriorating very quickly, and I was chasing money, because I wanted this new success. I wanted this hunger. I was chasing the wrong things for the wrong purposes. Granted, we were doing a lot of great work for a lot of, policyholders in the state of Florida, but that's not what I'm addressing right now. I'm addressing the fact that I thought I needed to work. And every time someone, there was birthday parties, holiday parties, and I was like, no, I got to work. And I just, the balance of life was way off. And I remember just waking up, and as we naturally do on January 1st, and we talk about what's our New Year resolutions, I realized I was fat, nasty, and depressed, and I was that 22-year-old kid again. And my life shook me. And I was like, you promised me, and I'm talking to myself in the mirror, you promised me you would never come back to this person. And here you are, motherfucker. And I was like, all right, game on. And I remember I drove straight to Lifetime, and I didn't even make it past the gas station. And I was like, here's my credit card, put it up. They're like, well, it's $300. I'm like, I don't care. do it. I'll figure the payments out, right? Because as you know, our industry, it's long money, right? It's not like sign a client and we get immediately paid. We're talking about months down the road. So at this time, I had $20,000 in my bank account, and I was transitioning out of the fire department, not knowing if I was ever going to make it or I was going to fail and fall on my face. So I resorted back to the foundations of the military and the fire rescue of like, becoming that person you need to become in order to adapt to your surroundings, and just executing and not giving failure an option to prevail. And I just remember when I made that transition, and I promised myself that every time you wake up, you're going to start waking up early. You're going to start saying good things about yourself. You're going to start, messaging your family, your friends that are very close. I'm not talking about acquaintances. I'm talking about your top 10 people in your life that are going to be there no matter what. And encouraging them as well, on a day-to-day basis, on a week-to-week basis. And it became very fulfilling. And when I started focusing on health before wealth, and I would wake up in the morning and I would read my book, I would do my self-searching, I would start doing, learning about systems and processes and educating myself and investing my time with knowledge, and then going to the gym in the first half. And I stopped answering business calls in the morning. From the time I wake up to 11:30, I'm not talking to anybody that has anything to do with business, unless you're a direct partner with me or you're on my team. If you're on my elite team at Claim Pros at the PA firm, I'll answer your call no matter what. But as far as like outside, calls that had anything to do, it can wait. Everything can wait. I need to focus on myself and get the hard stuff done now. So I got back into fitness, and I wanted to start eating right. I wanted to start seeing results again. And when I did that, and 11:30 came, and I changed over, I did my workout, I did the cold plunge, I did the sauna, I did all the hard things in the morning, and I was good for the rest of the day. By 11:30, I changed over, eat, and I'm ready to go. And we completely annihilate from 12 o'clock to 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, whatever time we stop working. But there's no delay in effects. If you start in the morning at 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock, there's these drag out points all throughout the day. It's like, oh my God, I'll just put it out to the afternoon, or I'll do it after lunch. Or when you work and you only have 5 hours of effects in your business, my productivity, my execution, my focus, I was primed and ready to go and crush the day. And then I decompress at 6 o'clock. I grab my hit list and I said, what did I finish? What do I need to do tomorrow? What's the first 10 things I need to do tomorrow? And I just again and again and again. And when things got really hard in my life and I wasn't seeing the forward progress, I was putting all this out, work, but no effects, work, but no effects. And I was like, what's going on? I need effects. I need positive. I need reinforcement. And that's when I started realizing you need to start enjoying the journey rather than the wins, because when the wins do come, it's like, okay. When you get that message on text or a call or Instagram and say, hey man, I really appreciate what you do for everyone. You inspired me, changed my life. And you get these, then it's like, that's why I go on social media every single day. And I'm documenting my life and my fail points and my successes every single day to empower other people that may not know they have the ability to be successful. So, leading off that, I think that was the biggest change, health-wise, physical-wise. And to this day, I wake up every single day. I focus on me. I lift, I walk, I do the cold plunge, the sauna, whatever it is, and then I get into work. And then we crush it.
Good. Let's talk a little bit about social media, because, I stayed off social media for a long time. I didn't want to put things out there, whether good or bad or indifferent. I just didn't want to put my life out there. And so, I do see you posting, you're in the cold plunge, and it gives me that inspiration, that motivation to go. So talk about putting yourself out there that kind of way. I know we talked a little bit about the haters in the world.
Yeah.
Talk about putting yourself out there that way, because it's, it's tough for people to truly understand the power of social media. There's a lot of social media that can be bad, but there's a lot that can be good as well. And similar to you, I get those text messages, those phone calls now, those Facebook messages or whatever, that really keep pushing me to keep going. So talk a little bit about social media for you and how it's benefited you both personally and professionally.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really is nice when people do reach out and you get those effects that you're looking for. And you're not trying to change the world. No one's trying to change. I'm not trying to change everyone's life. I want a handful of guys or even females that see the content and they're like, wow, this guy wakes up every single day, and it's one more day. And when things are really going bad, or really like you feel it's like really sluggish, but you're doing all the right things, my mindset is very simple. Just one more day. Just one more day. I wake up, I'll just do it one more day and one more day. And next thing you know it, a week goes by, 2 weeks, a month goes by, and that's where the consistency lies. And I don't care how smart you are, how leveraged you are in life, consistency will always outpace that individual. And I learned through discipline, consistency, just waking up one more day, just doing one more day. People see that and they recognize it. And even you recognize it, and it stops becoming about you and becomes about everyone else. And that's really powerful to be in that position. I don't wake up for myself anymore. And I'm pretty sure you could probably stop working today if you didn't want to work anymore. Sure, Dan probably doesn't have to work anymore if he doesn't want to work anymore, but we're building out teams and we're changing lives within our team. And we get to be the beacon. We get to be the tip of the spear, and we get to say, follow me, do these things. And we're changing grown men. We're talking about grown men that are sitting at the table. And, there's guys that are 35, 40 years old that become the most successful they've ever come in their entire lives because they got around the right opportunity, they got around the right people. And it kind of just full circle around. It's your surroundings. You are your top 5 people you hang out with. So look around, and you're most likely those top 5 people. If you're hanging out with a lot of successful people, a lot of good, morally intact, compass art is intact. They're very, well looked up to role models in the community, and those are your top 5. Well, guess what? You're not too far behind those top 5. And that's where you really want to be with that. So waking up every single day, changing the lives of people that are at our table, giving them good guidance, and being that example and showing up every single day, even when the conditions are bad.
Let's talk about showing up every day, because it's important, and being there for other people. I know you're getting ready to take a trip.
Yeah.
So talk about, showing up for others and service, and how big a service is for you. You served in the Marine Corps, you served the country. So talk about how big service is in your life and showing up for others.
Yeah. So service is really big. Building camaraderie is really big in my success. And like you said, I'm catching a flight here in a few hours. I wanted to make sure I showed up for you, right? It was the first thing on my agenda. It was first thing on my hit list, but I wanted to show up for myself before anybody. So I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I went to the gym. I did my 3-mile walk. I did all the hard stuff, read my book. As you know, I'm in the Flight Academy. So I'm always trying to get in my Flight Academy book, learn a little bit in the morning, and then I'll pick up the book throughout the day, in the little void gaps. Showing up for you. Now I'm going to race home, pack my bags. I'm going to drive down to Fort Lauderdale, jump on an airplane, and head over to Oklahoma. And the reason I'm going is for one of my close friends, dearest friends, and someone that I served with in the military, Teddy Pernell. He was unlike any other in the military, and he was our staff NCO during our last deployment. And anything, you ever been around a guy and you're like, I don't care what that guy tells me what to do, I'm going where he goes. If he tells me to go through that wall and there's 10 enemies behind that wall and we got freaking knives and they got guns, we're going, right? So it's like, this guy had something that no one else, and I admired that. Like, to see a man that 20 grown men looked at and respected, one, and would do anything he asked because of his experience, because of his confidence, because of his drive, his knowledge, his abilities. He knew exactly what was going to work and what wasn't going to work before we even knew. So that's why we trusted him with everything. So being around that, I learned, in my military, seeing somebody that I idolized at that fashion. He went off to do greater things. I exited the military after 8 years, resigned on my 8-year anniversary, and then resigned, but honorably discharged because I felt like inside me there was something bigger. I was ready, NCO. I left as a E5. I was a black belt in martial arts. I was a paratrooper, expert in both rifle and pistol. I had every single advanced class you could think of, and radio comms. I went off. We worked for a small squadron. So in our squad, we had 5 guys, and the JTACs, JFOs, radio operators, and we go out as 5-man teams as an airborne fire control team. And it was very thrilling. And then when I even first joined the military, I didn't know what I joined, right? I was lost. I was looking for guidance. I fell in the right unit, the right time in my life. And I was surrounded by the right people that I needed to be. And Teddy Pernal going out there for his graduation, he's now, I don't know how much I can disclose, but he is now going to be the targeting officer for 20th Special Group. And it's a really big role, and I'm proud of him. And, he's from Florida. No one's going to be out there other than his immediate, his wife and his kids. And I'm like, you know what? I'm proud of this guy. I admire him. He's been there. We're in business with the nonprofit with Shadow Defense, helping veterans and first responders going through mental perseverance issues. So he's very close to me, not only on a friends level of today's world, but also in business world. He's still very close to me. So we're going to go celebrate him. We're going to go out there for 2 days, jump on a plane, and going to go celebrate his achievements, not mine. And we're going to get back, and we're going to do some big things.
It's awesome. Talk about Shadow Defense a little bit and your work there.
Yeah. So, Shadow Defense, all businesses started on a napkin, and this one was definitely one that started on a napkin. And I was with Teddy Pernal, and one of my close friends committed suicide at that time. And, being in the world of the military, fire rescue, there's a lot of men in today's world that don't have that beacon. They get lost, and they don't know how to, men are privy to not knowing how to talk, communicate. So having the ability as a leader, in order to make sure that doesn't happen, is the ability to identify red flags, patternizing the people at your table, knowing how they operate on a good day and how they're operating on a bad day. Because if they're operating on a bad day in consecutive days, then you can pick that up. So knowing on your team members, not only just in the office, but their outside world, really means a lot. It gives you the ability to control all aspects of everyone's life and really move them in a forward progression and really guide them to being the best version they can ever be by learning the guys at your table. So don't be friends with everyone, right? Be friends with like 10 guys, 10 killers, and learn everything about those guys. And even when that progress, that process, you're gonna be better yourself too, because you're waking up for them now, not waking up for yourself. I don't care. Wake up and say, oh, what's Justin gonna do? Pat himself on the back today? No, I'm gonna go freaking encourage somebody to be better. And we're gonna crush today. But getting back to Teddy, we're sitting at the bar, and I was going through something, and I can't really remember what it was, and I couldn't put a finger. And I know every time I have a situation where I can't really just put a pulse on it, I call Teddy. Teddy's unreal. And I said, hey, meet me at Papi Chulo's local taco shop there out of Cuesta. And I'm sitting there, and he goes, what's wrong? He knew something was wrong. And I tell him about my buddy committing suicide. And he said, so what are we going to do about it? And I said, well, Teddy, I can identify one thing right now. And I know today's leadership that we have, they're not doing their job. We lost a few Marines. We lost a few guys in the fire department, all within, it was only like 30-day span. And I says, enough's enough, and I was petrified at the time, because brother, quote unquote, has changed drastically. And I don't want to get too much into society shifting and changing. We're becoming softer and more offensive. Everything's, changing for what I was scared to be for the worse. And I said, well, if leadership's not going to step up and do the right thing for our men, we have to do the right thing for our men, and we have to make the difference. And again, I'm not trying to save the world. I'm only trying to, save or change a few lives. I'm a small guy. I'm a normal guy from Jupiter. I'm not nobody big. I don't have a big platform. I show up every single day, and I do the right thing, and that's all I know. And I told him, he said, well, what do you want to do? I said, I don't know. He goes, I go, maybe we can start like a business or a foundation or something. He goes, what are we going to sell? I said, I don't know, Teddy, think about it. So we have a napkin, and we said, whoa, if the world hits the fan, what are people buying? And it's like water, groceries, and ammunition. I said, well, buddy, I'm not selling groceries and I'm not selling water. So I guess we're selling ammunition. And it only aligned to our lifestyle. Him being in the military, I being in the military, all of our friends are in the military, police officers, firemen. And what do we all do? We're all, alpha men who like to provide and protect, and everyone has weapons and everyone has guns, and everyone trains. So I was like, all right, let's make a few phone calls. He makes a few phone calls and we pitch our idea, and Teddy hangs up the phone. He said, done. He's like, it's done. He's like, I go, what's done? He's like, we got a couple million rounds of 9mm 5.56. I said, well, now what the hell do we do? And he's like, I don't know. It was your idea. You figure it out. You want to change someone's life? I said, yeah. He goes, how bad do you want to change someone's life? I said, real fucking bad. He's like, all right, get to work. And that's when I learned about business mission statements, business plans, how to file, how to do all the stuff for, 501(c), and like all these things that we had to do in order to hopefully one day change someone's life that was going through a mental perseverance issue. So we learned all those things. We built out the website on my own, how to learn how to code, how to learn how to, build a, website, get a domain, get a hosting server, this and that. And we did it. We pieced it together. Now it's much better because now we have people doing it for us, and we have people running our back end, and we built out our website professionally. So, but we had to get started. And like I said, I execute. I don't wait for the best plan in order to say, okay, now I'm going to do it. Now that the conditions are perfect and the sun's out and the birds are chirping, now I'll do it. No, I'm going to do it when it's the most foggy conditions, when I don't know what the hell I'm actually doing. But I know the intent is right. I know the things I'm doing are right. And if I keep doing the right thing when no one's looking, and I have purpose and good intent behind me, I'm going to become successful in any way that I think that direction is going to be successful. So I'm going to live up to the opportunities is a long story short. And we did it. And SOCOM week happened like a week later. And I remember we made a few more phone calls, and I said, I need, a couple thousand, business cards. And I'm scared. I'm still young in the game. And we go out to Tampa to the convention center, and he was there for another company, dead crew based company that builds out, weapon plates and armor. And he's out there on his booth. He goes, dude, go shake some hands. I go, I don't know who these guys are. Government contractors, this and that. He goes, what are you going to do? You got like 4,000 business cards. I said, well, I'll figure it out. So I just started dumping business cards everywhere. I thought someone was going to be in the bathrooms, on the floors, at the restaurants, on the bar top. I was just dumping thousands and thousands of cards everywhere. And they're like, he was, what did you do? What was the plan? I said, well, I got rid of all the cards. He goes, what do you mean? I go, I just threw them everywhere. And he's like, what do you mean threw all the cards away? I said, no, someone's got to pick it up. And if someone's got to pick it up, they got to read it. And that was the one moment that I took a chance, and it actually worked out. And we got a huge recognition. And they're like, oh, you guys are the Shadow Fence guys? Dude, we're seeing your cards everywhere, blah, blah, blah. And like, what's your mission? Like, what are you doing? And we're a nonprofit organization, and we sell ammunition, and we take the small margin. There's not much profit, behind the ammunition, but we take the margin line, we put it to our foundation, and then we find somebody that we can help with that money. And Teddy doesn't take any money. I don't take any money. There's no salary. There's no fancy anything. It's just like something that we knew was going to help somebody. But we had to sell something in order to get money, in order to get back. So we figured that out. We pieced it all together, and Shadow Defense was born. And and I said, when Teddy gets back, we're going to be working on some big things, and Shadow Defense is it. We got some big partners, big plays coming down the pipeline that we're excited about. That's going to take it to the next level. And we can't wait to see how many more lives we can change.
Awesome. The last thing I want to ask you about is, you look back at your life, you look at that kid that was getting ready to go off to the military. What advice would you give someone that's in that same situation, facing those life changes, or those big life decisions?
Yeah, that's a powerful question, Chris. It kind of just gave me some goosebumps. If I can close my eyes and my today's version of myself could talk to that 22-year-old version of me when I was just really, really in a dark spot. And when I say loser, I mean it in the most violent way towards myself. Like I remember just like, you are a effing loser, dude. Like, you're a loser, you're never going to be anything, blah, blah, blah. If you maintain this path, and if I could give myself advice, you have what it takes. If you can just get rid of the distractions, get rid of the vices, get rid of the friends that don't belong there, that are your bad influences, change your environment and get comfortable being uncomfortable and get a target on the board and just get there, get that round on target, and do everything it takes. And the little wins, it's like, I remember, it's like almost this analogy in football where it's like chop, 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 chop. And you can chop the entire, a 400-pound man across the entire football field if you just chop, right? And it's just keep going. It's one more day, one more fucking day. That's all you got to do is one more day, and stop the BS. Start surrounding yourself with good people. Start self-investing in yourself. Start doing something that's going to build back or give back to the community in some way, some fashion, and really start seeking out guidance, someone that's above you. Because if you're around a table and you're doing better than everyone around your table, it's not a table, it's a cage. You need to start changing your mindset, knowing that you have it inside you. It's like find a dog inside you, because this isn't your life. This isn't fulfilling, right? I want opportunity. I want to be able to live a life and give back. And my father used to tell me growing up that it always resonates in me. He's like, son, I just want you to be able to provide more than I was able to provide you. And that's your goal. Now go off and get it done. And that was powerful. And I think about it all the time. And I was like, you know what? My dad was a hardworking man, but he traded his time for money. He was the hardest working guy I've ever met in my entire life. He held like 5 jobs at a time. And to give my family what we've had, and we weren't very successful and rich, but he was a career fireman. He had all these side jobs. He was a teacher, a mentor to thousands of people at the fire academy throughout his courses of his career. Changed a lot of lives himself. I just knew there was a bigger, faster, better way to get it done. And that's my life goal, is like protect, provide, and give better back. Be able to have the ability to give back more than my dad was able to give me. So that would be the advice I would give somebody is lock in, snap out of it, drop the vices, stop the distractions, put the video controller down, and get after it. Because time is the biggest asset we're never going to get back again. And it's very limited.
Well, that's awesome advice. And I know speaking of time, you have a plane to catch. So I want to thank you again for being on First Light, for sharing your story, sharing your service. And again, thank you for your service to this country.
Absolutely. And I appreciate your support. And thank you again for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us on this episode of First Light. Justin's story is a powerful reminder of how our past experiences, no matter how challenging, can fuel our passion to serve others and make a lasting impact. As we wrap up, I encourage you to reflect on the values and lessons Justin shared today about perseverance, community, and the importance of staying true to one's purpose. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might need a little inspiration today. Until next time, keep shining your light.